It began as a cruel joke in the small, dusty town of Red Valley, a place where gossip spread faster than wildfire and kindness was often in short supply. Marianne was the kind of girl people whispered about but never truly saw. She was larger than most, with round cheeks that always flushed red from the heat or embarrassment, and eyes that carried the kind of sadness only those who'd been laughed at too long could understand. She wasn't lazy, far from it. But life hadn't given her many chances to show what she was capable of. Her mother had passed when she was only 12. And her father, broken and bitter, drowned his grief in whiskey. So, at just 19, Marianne found herself alone, mocked for her size, and struggling to make ends meet. In Red Valley, the ranchers were the kings of the land, men with broad shoulders, tanned faces, and names that carried weight. Among them was Jack Turner, a quiet rancher who kept mostly to himself. He was respected, even feared, for his strength and silence. They said Jack had once lost his wife to sickness and hadn't smiled since. He lived far out on the prairie, running a successful cattle ranch with only a few ranch hands to help. He wasn't cruel, but he wasn't known for charity either. That's why, when a group of local boys decided to play a prank, they thought Jack's ranch was the perfect setting. "Let's send Marianne up to Turner's place," one of them sneered in the saloon. "Tell her he needs help cleaning the barn. She'll think it's a job, we'll tell her he's hiring." The others laughed. "Yeah, let's see how the old man reacts when he sees her waddling up the hill." They didn't mean for her to get hurt. Not physically, at least. It was just another cruel joke at her expense. Another story to laugh about later over drinks. When they told Marianne, she hesitated. "Are you sure Mr. Turner needs help?" she asked, clutching her worn shawl tightly around her. "I wouldn't want to bother him." But the boys were convincing. "He said he's paying well, $10 a day," they lied. $10 was more than Marianne had ever made in a week. She needed the money desperately. Her small cabin roof leaked, and winter was coming. So she packed a small lunch, tied her hair back, and set out early the next morning with determination in her heart, unaware that she was walking straight into a prank meant to humiliate her. The road to Turner Ranch was long and dusty. Her boots wore blisters into her feet. But she kept walking, head down, whispering prayers that maybe this time, things would be different. When she reached the large wooden gate with "Turner Ranch" burned into the sign, she stopped to catch her breath. She could see the barn in the distance, towering and weathered, with sunlight glinting off the metal roof. The smell of hay and horses drifted through the air, mixed with the faint sound of cattle lowing. It was peaceful, intimidating, but peaceful. Jack Turner was inside the barn, fixing a broken latch on the horse stall when he heard footsteps. He looked up and froze. There she was, a girl he'd never seen before, standing awkwardly in the doorway, dust-covered and nervous. "Can I help you?" he asked gruffly, his deep voice echoing off the wooden walls. Marianne swallowed hard. I was told you needed someone to clean the barn, sir. I can work hard, and I don't need much pay." Jack frowned. "Told by who?" "The boys from town," she said quietly. "They said you were hiring." Something flickered in Jack's eyes, suspicion, maybe, or understanding. He knew those boys. Knew their kind. They liked to laugh at others' pain. He looked at Marianne again, the way she twisted her hands nervously, the way her eyes darted toward the floor. Ashamed even to stand there. It didn't take long for him to piece it together. "Well," he said after a pause, wiping his hands on his jeans, "if you came all this way, I'm not going to send you back empty-handed. You can help me with the barn if you want. I could use the help." Her face lit up, surprise softening the exhaustion in her eyes. "Really?" "Really," he said simply, and handed her a broom. The hours that followed were quiet but filled with something new, a kind of respect Marianne hadn't felt in years. She worked hard, sweeping the floors, feeding the horses, and scrubbing the troughs until her arms ached. Jack didn't say much, but he noticed everything, the care she took with each animal. The way she hummed softly when she thought no one was listening. And how she never complained even when her back began to ache. When the sun began to set, Jack brought her a plate of food from the kitchen. "You should eat before heading back," he said. She blinked in surprise. No one had brought her food in a long time. As she ate quietly, he asked, "Do those boys often play jokes like that on you?" She hesitated, then nodded. "All the time. I guess it's easy to laugh at me." Jack's jaw tightened. Then maybe they need someone to remind them that cruelty isn't funny. She smiled faintly. "Most people just tell me to ignore it." "I'm not most people," he said. That night, as Marianne prepared to leave, Jack looked out toward the darkening road and shook his head. "It's too late to walk back. Stay in the guest room in the house tonight, I'll take you to town in the morning." Her heart pounded. No one had ever offered her kindness like that. She hesitated, afraid of overstepping, but his tone left no room for argument. "Thank you, Mr. Turner," she whispered. The next morning, when they reached town, the boys were waiting, ready to laugh. But their smiles faded when they saw her riding in beside Jack Turner on his wagon. The rancher's expression was cold, unreadable. He stopped the wagon right in front of them. "You think it's funny to send someone miles out of town for a joke?" he said, voice low and dangerous. "You humiliated a woman for your own amusement." The boys stammered, faces turning red. Jack didn't shout. He didn't need to. His presence alone made their arrogance crumble. "If any of you ever bother her again," he said, "you'll answer to me. And I don't give warnings twice." From that day forward, no one dared to mock Marianne again. But what shocked the town most wasn't Jack's anger, it was what happened next. A week later, Marianne was seen back at Turner Ranch. This time with a small suitcase. Rumors spread like wildfire. Had he hired her permanently? Was she living there? The truth was simpler but more beautiful. Jack had offered her a job. Not out of pity, but because he'd seen her strength and kindness. He needed help running the ranch, and he trusted her. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The two worked side by side through rain and shine. Jack, once cold and distant, began to open up. He found himself smiling again. Something he hadn't done since his wife's death. Marianne's laughter, soft, genuine, filled the quiet halls of the ranch house. She learned to ride horses, to mend fences, and to handle the cattle with confidence. And in return, Jack learned that beauty had nothing to do with appearances, it was in the heart. In the resilience, in the quiet courage to keep going even when the world mocked you. One evening, as they watched the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and crimson, Jack said quietly, "You know, when you walked into my barn that day, I thought you were lost. But maybe I was the one who needed to be found." Tears filled Marianne's eyes. "You gave me a chance when no one else would." He shook his head. "No, Marianne. You earned it." The cruel joke that was meant to break her ended up changing two lives forever. Marianne was no longer the girl people laughed at. She was the woman who found her place in the world. Not through pity, but through strength, kindness, and hard work. And Jack Turner, the quiet rancher who had lost everything, found peace and purpose once more. Sometimes, life's greatest blessings come disguised as cruel tricks. Sometimes, people are sent into our lives not by chance, but by fate. And sometimes, the ones the world mocks the most are the ones who carry the strongest hearts. So if you've ever felt small, overlooked, or mocked, remember Marianne's story. Don't give up. You never know when your story might change. When someone will see your worth. Or when the world will finally realize the power of your heart.